We are live. We are. Welcome. Monday night football is on. I'm sure many of you guys are watching the Vikings and the Seahawks going to battle right now. But we're here to talk. We're here to talk a little bit about the Green Bay Packers. I apologize. I mean, we got 4 viewers that are starting off the stream here. I apologize for not posting a video on Friday. I have been sick for about a week now. And it has not been a whole lot of fun. I had to spend my Thanksgiving under the weather, so I did not post a video on Friday with my final thoughts. But hey, the Packers had it 31-13. Saul tuning in. Hello, Saul. Thank you for tuning in and joining Portland Packers Podcast Live on Monday nights. This small little show that I put together as the channel continues to grow in my first season, the inaugural season, if you will. And yeah, we're going to talk about a little bit of Green Bay Packers. Talk about that game against the New York Giants. And I've been spacey all day. This head cold that I got has been driving me absolutely bonkers. I deal with people on a daily basis, and it's just been hard for me to gather my thoughts. But we're going to try to figure this out. We're going to get through this day by day, or at least minute by minute as we go through here. What's up, Grant? Thank you for tuning in. Another repeat viewer to these live shows, these live feeds. The Packers looked overall pretty good yesterday. Here I go. I'm going to be stuttering over my words already on the very first kickoff statement that I want to talk about. But yeah, Packers looked good yesterday, as they should have looked good. I mean, going up against the New York Giants, who I think I saw in a updated power rankings, the Giants are 31, if not the worst ranking team in the NFL in those power rankings. They just haven't looked good all season. But the Packers took care of business. They took a road game. They'll take a win. They're 9-3, exactly where you want to be. You probably want to be about 10-2 actually, but pretty close. What made you a Packers fan when I grew up? Well, easiest thing to go there is I am from Wisconsin. I live in Wisconsin. I grew up when I started to follow football. And football, was constantly on my TV growing up. I guess I came from a family full of Packer fans. But when I started to pay attention to football, it was right around that 95, 96, 97 season. Some of my earliest memories are of the Super Bowl era time frame with Brett Favre. I didn't have to go through the 70s and the 80s Packers. I didn't have to live through that, and I'm very thankful. And I know it's around the corner. I know once we get through this Aaron Rodgers stint that we're in, and if the quarterback, if we can't find a replacement quarterback in the future, we could definitely be one of those teams that struggle on a year in and year out basis. But I like what we have so far set up with our head coach, our rookie head coach. I think we have another 5-6 years of Aaron Rodgers that we can enjoy. That's personal opinion. I think Rodgers will definitely play into his 40s. And by the way, happy birthday, Aaron Rodgers. I believe it is your birthday today. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I got started. I've been a Packer fan ever since. If you look back at my very young baby photos, I think you could have caught me in a Vikings jacket, but my mom was a Vikings fan for a while back when the Packers were not so good, and luckily that all went away very quickly, and I became a Packer fan, and here we go. And here we are. We're live. We're talking about Packers. I decided to start a podcast because I'm that die hard about Packers. So, wonderful question. I love talking about myself. Why not? It's kind of what I can do, I guess. So I do have the Seattle and Vikings game pulled up in front of me. So I kind of thought maybe I'd keep this a little bit short. Maybe do just a 30-minute versus like one of those 45-minute live streams. But we'll see how the questions come in, how it gets going. And if worse comes to worse, I'll just kind of hang out here, watch the game, and give you some of my input. There's a lot of playoff implications already at stake in tonight's game, and you can have a lot of fun with it. Neither scenario, whether the Seahawks win or the Vikings win, have the Packers coming up to that number 2 position. But not yet, at least. I still think the Packers will end up with the number 2 seed in the NFC. But if the Vikings win tonight, then Seattle goes to that 6th seed, and right there we're hosting Seattle at home in the first round of the playoffs. And if not, the Vikings follow that 6th seed, and we host the Vikings in the first round of the playoffs. So lot to go on as far as the playoff season and the rest of the season kind of shakes out. Glad to see a snow game. Real football is finally here. Yeah, Packers' 2nd snow game of the year, and when you're looking at 2 out of 12 games. What is that? It's 1 out of 6. That's like 15%. I don't know. I'll let you guys take out a calculator to figure that out. 15% of the Packers games have been in the snow. So there's a fun fact for you on this lovely Monday evening. Thoughts on the roster move today? Well, I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, I really feel bad. If you guys did not hear about the roster move that took place, I will fill you in on this one. But I believe you're referring to, we did release Tremon Smith, our kick returner / punt returner. And this is now the second time that we have released Tremon Smith from the Packers roster. That poor guy can't get a break. And he actually had a pretty decent game overall yesterday. It was one of his better performances. And I was thinking to myself while watching the game, yeah, maybe the Giants aren't all that good, but he seemed to be getting some kick return yards, punt return yards. He did have that fumble very early on in the game that we were fortunate enough that it went out of bounds. But they decided to waive him. They cut him from the roster. They pick up running back Tyler Ervin from the Jags, who was released on Saturday from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's been bouncing around a little bit, but he was a 4th-round draft pick back in, I believe, 2017. So he's a pretty high draft pick in that respect. And I think he not only brings options to your kick return, punt return game, but Matt LaFleur loves his running backs. When he carried 6 to 7 running backs on his roster throughout training camp, it became evident very early on that he loves his running backs. So I'd be very curious to see if they might try to integrate him at all throughout the rest of the season, or if he's at least a security blanket if we do face any injuries to that running back game. But speaking of that top, I mean, it's overall thoughts. I'll have to see how it plays out. Our kick return, our special teams has been porous for most of the season. It's probably one of the worst kick return teams or just special teams units in the league. So it can't get any worse. I'm excited to see what comes of it. We definitely could use that advantage, some better field position down the road. But I'm looking at a comment. I see Trevor Davis was just waived. Think the Packers pick him up again. I did not see that Trevor Davis was waived. So breaking news, at least from my perspective, I would love to see them go back and get Trevor Davis. The fact that they were able to, kind of just part ways with him throughout the season because they didn't need him on the roster, it'd be really fascinating if they got him back. It wouldn't take him very long to pick things back up, and he's easily a much better return man than what we've seen. But I haven't seen a whole lot about Tyler Ervin. I don't know a whole lot about him. Just saw him kind of pop up on my news feed today, and I will definitely probably dive into that a little bit more on Friday's Final Thoughts video. But can you guys tell I sound stuffy? I mean, I apologize. You should. There was no way I was going to do a video on Friday, though. I was so under the weather, and it was Thanksgiving, and I'm like, I'm just going to sleep. I slept. I played a little bit of Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, a little bit other Xbox games. I relaxed for the most part, and that's what a grown-ass man does when he is sick, is he relax. So thoughts on that's my thoughts. Roster move. That's what I think about that. Rest in peace, 2015 Packers draft class. Yeah, rest in peace. Tears. So let's dive into yesterday's game just a little bit. So notable performances from yesterday. Rodgers 21 for 33. He had 243 yards. Nothing crazy on that front, but he did have 4 touchdowns yesterday, 0 interceptions. Lazard, I love to see him get going and be active. Just off of 3 receptions, he had over 100 yards receiving, 103 total yards. He did have himself that bomb of a touchdown, and that's something that the Packers offense has been missing. And I saw them kind of taking chances yesterday against the New York Giants. And I don't know if they were experimenting so much or if it just happened to be with the way that the cards were dealt against that New York Giants defense. But something that's been missing all season is that deep ball, explosive offense, and it makes a huge difference. It didn't do a whole lot to our running game. Our running game was essentially null and void. Aaron Jones struggled for most of the day. Jamal Williams had, I think, a solid performance because what he does is he goes out there and he fights for yards, and I get a kick out of watching him just fight for every single yard that he puts up there. But outside of Lazard having kind of that breakout game and kind of looking like he's going to step up if he hasn't already looked that way, he looks like he's going to step up as our number 2 wide receiver as the stretch kind of goes into the playoffs here. Adams did have finally Devontae Adams had 2 touchdowns, receiving touchdowns, 6 receptions, 64 yards through the air. Lewis had himself a touchdown. Good old Mercedes Lewis. And then you had Crosby going 1 for 1 on field goals. He had 4 for 4 on extra points. He had a solid day, and he was actually coming off of the death of a family member just previously on Friday. So just for him to come out there and put up a performance and not get too mentally down by that. I believe he got the game ball too from Matt LaFleur and that Packers locker room. And then the other final sticking point, as I'm kind of talking about notable moments from the game, you had Tramon Williams, Darnell Savage, and Kevin motherfucking King with an interception. Kevin King, guys, I can't do it. I can't constantly watch Kevin King get just burned and destroyed and embarrassed on his coverages and then come out there and then pick off an interception. It drives me nuts. I don't know whether to love him or to hate him. I think, like my dad said, I'm pretty sure anyone probably could have caught that ball that Kevin King picked off. Tramon Williams, I think, had the prettiest interception of the day. That was just a on the hands reception. The guy can still ball. But yeah, 3 interceptions on the day for that Packers defense. They did gain some pressure. Zadarius was getting in there. Preston was getting in there. So overall, a decent performance, but what you should expect out of a New York Giants type of opponent. They definitely, I definitely want to see more, I guess, of a complete game on Sunday as we approach that Redskins team, because it's going to be another one of those games, another one of those teams where you're facing a struggling opponent. You match up against them across the board in almost every category, and you should actually just go out there and just embarrass them is what you should end up doing. If you guys are watching the game, which I'm sure many of you are, I'm going to have a little bit of a delay as far as my feed because I'm streaming it through my iPad, but it looks like Seattle is charging 17-17, 3rd and 1. They probably already picked up the first down. Maybe they scored a touchdown by now, but would love to see Seattle come away with a victory tonight. Absolutely would love to see Seattle come away with another victory over the Vikings, because the Vikings are right on our heels. I don't like it. I don't want to have to worry about Minnesota, quite frankly. So Johnny asking the question that seems to come up almost every single week: how would I feel about the Packers drafting a receiver with their first round pick? I'm going to stick to my guns. I don't think I like the prospect of first round receivers. I do like the prospect of second round receivers. I think the Packers have been very fortunate to draft talented receivers in the second and third round. We're talking about our Jordy Nelsons. We're talking about our Devontae Adams. We're talking about Randall Cobb's out there. I mean, these are guys that have absolutely stepped up as far as receivers in Packers' recent history. And I don't like the idea of taking a wide receiver right off in the first round. And we're talking about probably a somewhere between a 24 to a 32 pick if we were fortunate enough to have that. So maybe if it's a real late first round pick and it's the best available player, maybe then you take a wide receiver. But they got to figure out. They got a problem, because Tramon Williams is going to be retiring. I wouldn't be surprised if this is his last season. Josh Jackson has not stepped up a whole lot. I've seen him out in the field. He's been playing, but he hasn't really filled in what you want for a number 2 cornerback. So Kevin King, I think they got to go cornerback. I want to see if there's a talented cornerback available in the first round. That's where my heart's telling me to go right now. So many people are on the inside linebacker train. Lay off of Blake Martinez. I think he's more than capable. We got to figure out. We got to get a shutdown corner, because Jair has been playing respectably and phenomenally. He had some batted down balls yesterday, and he just has that swagger. But we got to find someone opposite of Jair Alexander. Who is your favorite team in the AFC? Well, I'm going to go off of a limb here and just say who's the team I favor, or who do I see being the most successful, perhaps. I mean, if we're going down that avenue, I'm going to obviously have to say the Baltimore Ravens look like a team that nobody is going to be able to beat anytime soon. They look incredible out there. But if I had to pick my favorite AFC team, I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars, because the Jacksonville Jaguars announced today that Gardner Minshew will start the remaining games of the season, and I jumped on that bandwagon. That mustache, that guy. I love watching that guy. He's an underdog of all underdogs. So I will take the Jacksonville Jaguars as my favorite AFC team just because of him. But I do see the Baltimore Ravens kind of. I see, honestly, at this point, week 12, week 13. We're at week 13 already. I like Ravens and Kansas City playing in the AFC Championship game. I think that looks like to be your AFC Championship matchup from the looks of things. Let's see. 2017, I wanted Juju. We took Josh Jones. Yeah, and we also what was it? Was it 2017 where was it, I'm getting my drafts mixed up. Was it 20? I think it was 2017 where we also took. You guys can just correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just going to spit it out there. Where we took Kevin King versus T.J. Watt. I think that's accurate. My brain's not working. I apologize. My stats are probably all wrong. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. I swear I know what I'm talking about most of the times, but I don't know what I'm talking about right now. So I'm looking at this game. Seattle decides to go for it. It looks like it was 4th and 7, or maybe it's 4th and 7 now. I'm trying to talk and watch the game at the same time. No, right now it's 4th and 7, so they're going to kick themselves a field goal here and hopefully jump out to a lead. So I guess, you got six viewers right now. I'm sure many of you guys are watching this game. Many people who are not tuned in right now are watching this game, and I don't blame you one bit. I guess what are your guys' overall thoughts as far as the Packers' outlook for the rest of the season? One thing that has stood out to me, it seems like they are just a notch below some of these, your Baltimore Ravens teams. You look at the San Francisco 49ers. I'm even watching tonight's game, and Minnesota looks like a really good football team, and so does Seattle. There's like this. I haven't seen a Packers performance so far this season, and I think they're close. I'm of the mindset that it's you're 9-3, rookie head coach. There weren't a whole lot of expectations outside of Packer fans for what this season could be and what it could bring. I think we're shaped up to be a top contender more so next year. This year, I find ourselves, if we run into, or when we run into one of these upper echelon types of teams, the Packers could definitely find themselves struggling. There's a lot of season left. I just haven't seen them kind of, that light bulb or that switch get flipped yet, where it looks like a dominant football team, where the defense consistently is flying all over the place and hitting hard, and the offense is moving the ball on a consistent basis. There's been moments here and there throughout the season that they have been able to show signs that they could be one of these upper echelon teams. But I think when we approach next season, I think another year of the draft, another year of free agency, another year under Matt LaFleur's offense, and I think Green Bay could definitely be primed for the following season. But hey, I'm not giving up on this year. But I need to see something happen over the next 4 games here for me to really go all in on the Green Bay Packers making a deep playoff run. Big B just tuned in. What's up, Big B? Thank you for tuning in on this Monday Night Live Q&A. Johnny and Grant have been rocking the questions. They're my 2 biggest supporters right now, so shout out to you for continuing the conversation. Johnny goes on to say, let's see, it hurts knowing how much draft capital we have spent on cornerback, and we still have to spend some money / draft picks coming up. I know it hurts. It hurts me too, but in a quarterback league, when you are facing countless passing battles throughout these games, I think you gotta have someone that you can put out. They're running way too much zone, and I think if you had 2 lockdown corners, you could definitely feel a little bit more confident in your man-to-man game and get a little bit more creative on that defense. But I think a lot of what's been kind of limiting or crippling the Packers defense this year is that the personnel isn't quite right. I think you have your pass rushers down. I think you have a great interior. I think you have some great safeties, but they've been lacking a little bit on what they've been able to do outside of those abilities. So Seattle did take the lead. They are up 20-17 with about 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. And again, we're definitely if you are playing the playoff odds and messing with your scenarios and whatnot, we are rooting for Seattle to win, because versus if we look at the New Orleans Saints, we do not own a tiebreaker against those guys. If Seattle ends up losing another game the rest of the season, which I do think that they will end up losing another game, I think they will end up losing. Well, I felt a lot more confident about this prediction a few weeks ago, but I think they will end up losing either a game to the Rams or a game to Carolina. So one of the next 2 weeks here, they will find themselves on the losing side. So let's just have them beat up on the Vikings tonight and kind of get ourselves a little bit of separation, much needed separation in that NFC North. I've heard rumors, this is from Grant, I've heard rumors that the Cowboys might let Byron Jones go. We should go after him. Well, if that's the case, I agree with you. I mean, the cap space is definitely always a consideration. You have to figure out how much he wants or much you have to pay that guy. But I agree. He'd be a great addition to the team. But these are all just rumors and speculation at this point. I've never really bought in a ton to rumors and speculation. I like the facts. I want to know for certain that things are actually happening before I get too excited about them. Let's see here. Jarrett commenting, and I honestly feel as though the Packers need a receiver like Jerry Jeudy and pick a punt returner like Waddle. I'll be completely honest with you. These guys are not ringing a bell. I don't know if my brain is spacing on me, but we're talking about the need for receivers and kick returners, and I'll agree with you. I think a little bit more depth at either of those positions would go a long way for improving this Packers team. How about the Bengals getting their first win? Now, that was a shocker of all shockers. I did not think that would happen. And even more surprisingly is what in the heck is going on. What the heck is... hold on real quick. Those are college football players. Those are college football players you're referencing, and I do not follow college football, although I will be watching on Saturday the Badgers trying to take down the Ohio State Buckeyes, but yeah, I apologize. My college football knowledge is not anywhere near as solid as my NFL knowledge. So now I feel a little bit better about not knowing who those guys were. But more surprising, the NFC East is just an absolute... What is going on? What's going on over there? There's not a single team in that division that wants to essentially step up and perform. Like we already talked about, we have the Redskins and the Giants that are just awful bottom of the barrel. And then you look at teams like Dallas and Eagles, and nobody wants to win a game in that division. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we talk about Bengals getting their first win, but I think the fact that the Dolphins were able to beat up on the Philadelphia Eagles is just... And it's an Eagles team that has every possibility of going into the playoffs. So I don't know. They should definitely not have lost that game. That was a shocker of the weekend, if you had to ask me. Let's see here. King leads the team in interceptions and gives up big plays, so it's 50-50. Big B tuning in with that comment. Yeah, that's my love-hate for him, 100%. I don't necessarily see him... Of the interceptions that he's had, so I'm thinking back to a couple of them. So one was tipped by Amos in the end zone that was picked off by Kevin King. There was one kind of a fader of an interception in the end zone that he had that, yeah, he probably made a pretty athletic play on that ball. But outside of that particular interception, you look at the one against the Giants on Sunday. I mean, none of his interceptions are him breaking the route per se, or matching up or dominating the wide receiver and taking the ball away. Sort of, they're essentially just tip balls, bad throws, whatever, and which are interceptions, quite frankly. But they're nothing like the caliber of what we saw at Tramon Williams, his interception yesterday. That was actually true skill, bringing in that football on his hands. And I can't defend Kevin King anymore. I'm just gonna have to bash him for as long as it takes. I'm sorry, but Kevin King, do something. It's that meme with the guy with the stick. Do something. Just do something. Come on, do something. Pac-Man Jake throwing out jokes right now. NFC East equals NFC least. Yeah, that is one bad division over there in the NFC East. I'm trying to think, what's the bad division in the AFC? You have the North, where you got Cleveland and the Steelers. They're beating each other up over there. You got the AFC South, Jacksonville, and I don't know my divisions right now. Jacksonville, Tennessee, they look decent. Houston Texans beat the Patriots. Yeah, I would definitely. No other division's really jumping out at me as bad as that NFC division. That is a shocker. That's a bad division. They have a lot of growing pains to go through over there, and that just makes it more unacceptable that the Cowboys have not been able to jump ahead and just stand out over the rest of it. So Johnny chiming in once again. I could see a solid wide receiver slipping later in the first round, since people will be reaching for positions of need, thinking they can get a wide receiver later since it's such a deep class. Now, speaking of receiver, and we're talking about drafting and whatnot and who slips through, There's a guy playing in this game right now, DK Metcalf, that I thought the Packers were sure as hell going to draft at some point. I mean, he continued to slip further and further in the draft, and I think he went in the 3rd round, if I'm not mistaken, if not the 4th round, late 3rd round maybe. I know the Packers had at least a couple swings where they could have picked him up. Now, I'm happy with who they ended up getting in the draft. I think they had a pretty solid draft class overall, but that was one of those wide receivers that I was just scratching my head waiting for them to go out there and grab, and it just never came to fruition. I just got the notification, Big B, as well. The Bucks absolutely destroyed on the Knicks, so Wisconsin teams are now 2-0 in the last 24 hours, or 36 or 30 hours against New York teams. Bucks are doing really good right now. Here, let's pull this up. I'm sure you guys can pull this up faster than I can, but we're going to talk a little bit about basketball. I do follow basketball more than I follow college football. But, what do you have? The Bucks are 17-3. They lead the Eastern Conference once again. The Lakers are 17-3. Go Bucks. Go Bucks. I usually I'll put on a Bucks shirt one of these games once the year starts to once football season ends, which is not until February. We'll jump into some of the basketball world. AFC isn't bad. I mean, that's true. There's actually a lot of talented teams over there. I mean, it's not like the cream of the crop when you look at the NFC rankings and standings right now, where you have just 4 or 5 teams with 3 losses, and then everyone else just kind of either there's a few teams lingering in the middle, and then just everyone else is at the bottom of the barrel. But the AFC does have a lot more competition going on over there in their playoff positions. I was surprised to see DK fall that far, so you are agreeing with me. That one, Johnny saying he was drafted in the 2nd. At the time we saw it, he was drafted in the 2nd round. You kidding me? Is my memory that bad? DK Metcalf draft. Let's go internet. 64th pick overall. So yeah, that's 2nd round, 64 selection. I'm just trying to think. So the Packers had 2 shots at him in the NFL draft. It was just surprising that he fell as far as the guy is he's become one of Seattle's best weapons for Russell Wilson. I'm just as shocked as anyone else that he dropped as far as he did to that 64th overall pick. I thought he'd go high 2nd. He was very enjoyable to see. It was very enjoyable to see Brady struggle against the Texans. Spam, fake person robot. Thank you. We're just going to ignore that. It just kind of goes on to say, is there a way for me to block that? What is it? I don't even know how to block that. There's got to be a way to block that. Settings. Ooh, I can add moderators. That's pretty neat. You did it. You got hacked. Yes, I did. I don't even know what that means. Graham 25 finally tuning in when I need him most. How in the heck do I stop a spammer? I don't know if I right click on things. Hold on. Maybe I'm going to stretch the screen out a little bit further. Wait, there it is. I see the 3 dots now. We're good. Remove. I can remove. Okay, so I can remove that, and then I can hide user. This user's messages will be hidden. Boom! Who needs an IT guy when you got poor another coming in there and clicking 3 little dots off to the right and getting rid of... I didn't get hacked, first off, all right? Maybe I got hacked. Hopefully I didn't. I just blocked him. It's good to go. It's good to go. But going back to Kyle's comment on Brady struggling, boy, it was kind of refreshing to see after the performance the previous Sunday night that Rodgers had against the San Francisco 49ers. You're looking at 2 of the most respectable quarterbacks to ever play the game, and both have just terrible Sunday night performances. So I got a little bit. It made me feel better. It made me feel better about Rodgers just to see Brady go out there and struggle like he did. And the fact that do I have another guy? I have another? I have 2 spammers in one. Okay, we're gonna block that one too. We're hiding stuff. Johnny is Papa. If this continues to go, guys, I might have made it. It's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm on fire, all right. Yeah, you can. That's definitely how I would describe what's going on with my comment section at the moment. So Seattle jumps out. Seattle Seahawks jump out to a 27-17 lead over those Minnesota Vikings. I think this would probably be a different matchup, a different game if Adam Thielen was in the game and healthy. But I did just see. I was just thinking it as Pac-Man kind of commented in. Rhodes is having himself a bad year, which is surprising. I mean, he was probably one of the top cornerbacks of the season. I go back to our Week 2 matchup against the Vikings, and I had a moment in that video, if you will, just talking about Adams versus Rhodes, and it's going to be one of the best, kind of one of those best matchups. And Rhodes has struggled to have himself a season, for lack of better terms. But yeah, we love to see a 27-17 lead over the Minnesota Vikings. Man, there's nothing more that makes my day than Viking tears. Viking tears make my day. I don't think I have any Viking fans in here. I had one in here a couple weeks ago when we went live. He's probably busy watching this game and hoping for good things to happen, but we'll just wait for him to turn off the game, hopefully. So end of the third quarter. That will wrap it up for that. We have one more quarter of that game to go, and we're up to our third spammer. I don't know how to stop it. I mean, do these just come in constantly? Is that just what's going on right now? At least I figured out how to block them. Okay, I don't know what "he's made it" means. Is this a common thing? The bigger your following, I made it, I guess. That I'm trying to look at my camera. Wait, hold on, let me go this way with it. This has not made it to where it needs to be. We're getting there. With me not posting a video on Friday, I actually lost a subscriber. And if you guys are not familiar with the ins and outs of YouTube life, then holy moly, the spammers come. But if you're not familiar with it, there's a lot of ebbs and flows when it comes to subscribers and followers and viewers. So I know I got my crew here tonight supporting me, 9 concurrent viewers, and maybe one day we'll get to a place where I can figure out how to stop all the spammers from time. Hopefully, like these viewers that I'm getting. You guys would probably know this more than me. I'm just gonna talk. I'm gonna sound like an old man, which essentially right now. Are they actually viewers that are watching, or is it just spam robots that are just coming out and hacking into the matrix and messing with my video? That's what I don't know. I didn't realize my whole family wanted to show up to the chat. Well, thank you, Johnny, for inviting them. They have been a pleasure. Real great contributions and contributors to the feed. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Oh boy. Fun times indeed. Fun times indeed. So we got another. So, as we kind of explore there, let's do this. Let's have a little bit of fun here. We're gonna do some experimenting. There's not a ton of you in here right now, so I'm gonna kind of put the chat off to the side, and we are going to attempt what I like to call. Let's see. We press the plus button. We go window capture. We do that. And we go here. Okay, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying things right now. How the hell is it display? Do we do that? Okay. I gotta open my system preferences and make it okay to share my display. What I was gonna do here for you guys is I was gonna open up the playoff machine. Figured it'd be a little bit of fun to let you know how I go through some of this stuff. But it wants me to quit OBS in order for me to do that. Son of a bee sting. Maybe I can do it. Maybe I'll be able to. We'll get a vote here as a little pump chimes in. You should have a robot meter. What the heck does that mean? I don't want to restart my OBS. Dang it. All right, I'll do it for next week. Next week we'll pull up the playoff machine, and then I'll go through there. We'll make some. I guess we'll have 3 weeks left in the season at that point. We can kind of play with some of these scenarios. At that point, Green Bay will be a 10-3 team after their matchup against the Redskins. And I don't even know. I mean, I got a final thoughts video that I got to throw together on Friday. I don't even know how to make these matchups sound like they're going to be exciting or anything like that. I think Green Bay easily comes away with a victory against the Washington Redskins. I think that they're going to find themselves in a close battle against the Bears, but I don't see an upset there. I think by the time we get ourselves to that Detroit Lions game, they're going to have, they're going to be so far out of playoff contention. I think they're actually eliminated from playoff contention if I'm not mistaken. But they won't. They'll be on their third string quarterback. They won't have Matthew Stafford. They won't even risk that. So, I mean, outside, if we're looking at our last 4 games, it's going to come down to this Vikings game. And the more and more that I hate going into US Bank, and I kind of tell myself, it's a game that it's probably one that we're going to have to, kind of put in the L category. I like the possibility of Green Bay kind of putting a game together and upsetting Minnesota. One thing that's really important about this game that we're watching in particular, the Seahawks and Vikings game that's on right now, is that with the Vikings loss and being 12-4, and being 12-4, if they ended up beating Green Bay would still own the tiebreaker and have the better record over Minnesota. So that's why this game in particular is so important. The fact that Minnesota would lose to another NFC opponent is absolutely crucial for that. Even if the Packers can't manage to win at US Bank Stadium, we would be just fine losing that game and still winning out the rest of our matchups. A lot of different things going on here. So the Russians have hacked, get pwned. Well, isn't that fun? And that's why you got to vote. It's important for everyone to go out there and vote because the Russians are everywhere. It's turning into Cold War 2.0. Johnny the Real, who's your favorite football team? Well, that's a loaded question. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars. We discussed this earlier. My favorite team, Garner Minshew and the Jacksonville Jaguars, has to be the absolute best. And Johnny the Real, you are not a real person whatsoever. Whoo! Woo-hoo. I wonder if I have to come up with now, if this is going to be a reoccurring theme on a week-to-week basis. I wonder if I need to come up with like a different chat platform, like if I have to use a Discord for you guys to log into or something like that. Who knows? So the Seahawks are officially going to town on the Minnesota Vikings. I've got all of these spam people subscribing to me right now, so that can't be good. That can only mean viruses. And should I be worried? I mean, for those of you much younger and smarter, is yes a word? Oh man, I should be worried because I'm hearing voices coming out of my computer right now. You guys, what in the world? I don't really care. I mean, I know why there's voices coming out, because I have the little thing in the corner when I get a subscriber. That's the voices that I'm hearing. Whew. All right, we're over that. Graham25 coming in with a question. What's up, man? What do you think Green Bay should look into in next year's draft? We're most likely going to be 25-32. Tuning in a little bit late with that question. We did talk about the draft previous, I did agree with you. I did think that they would be somewhere between. I actually said the 24th to the 32. I think 24 puts you in the playoffs still. But yeah, I mean, with a 2 or 3 seed, I think that automatically gets you a little bit higher. Don't quote me on that by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm of the mind frame that they have to go out there and they have to get themselves another lockdown cornerback. I think if you're that late, I think if you are, a 30, 31, or as great as it would be a 32 draft pick, you have to go out there and maybe get yourself a receiver at that point. But if they find themselves winning a Super Bowl, there's a couple things that have happened. The defense has turned it on, and they have become the defense that we thought they could be. They became that first 3 weeks of the season type of defense. And then the other thing that would have happened if the Packers are going to make a Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl is that we have had receivers that have stepped up. And so far, the only 2 people that I can say with all the confidence in the world that have stepped up has been Adams and it's been Lazard. We have not seen it coming out of Allison on a consistent basis. We have not seen it come out of MVS on a consistent basis. So we'll just kind of have to see how that all kind of shakes out. I am blocking spam people on a consistent basis, and I don't know if I should be worried that they're all subscribing to me. That's a dangerous thing. Maybe the Russians are huge Packer fans and they are absolutely just enjoying what is transpiring right now. But I'm not all that confident. I'm not. Got another. There's another subscriber. There it is, right there. They're all Russian. That's not good. So, Graham25. I'm sorry, my man. I just got back from Christmas shopping. I personally feel like either a wideout or an offensive line piece would really help out. And the offensive line becomes a really interesting component, too. That's one that I continue to forget about. Brian Bulaga does not seem... I would be surprised if he comes back next year. First off, one hell of a job on his part to make it and be active on Sunday's game, coming off of that knee injury and then predicted to miss 1 to 2 weeks, only to practice on Thursday and then actually play in the game. The Packers went out and actually signed another offensive tackle to kind of fill in for him. So Bulaga's given it everything that he's got. I think maybe perhaps he realizes that he's at the end of his career and that the clock is ticking on his career, and he's not going to let anything keep him out of playing. But yeah, they're definitely going to have to figure out in the near future something on an offensive tackle position. I think Alex Slate makes a good backup. Maybe he'll have a strong offseason and come out next year looking like an absolute stud. But yeah, I mean, it would not even surprise me if in the first round, we're talking about late first round picks, if an offensive tackle is something that we consider, because quite frankly, the most important thing that you need more than anything else is a line that can keep Rodgers upright, keep Rodgers off the ground, keep Rodgers healthy, give him time. When he has time, he is unstoppable. He will make plays happen. Receivers will get open just over time. So yeah, we definitely have to consider having ourselves some sort of an offensive lineman. And in the meantime, Minnesota decides that they do not want to go down without a fight, making it a 23, soon to be 24-34 game with about 12 minutes to go. That game becomes a little bit more interesting with that breakaway touchdown by the Minnesota Vikings. Maybe pick up a nice cornerback to make the draft easier. I wonder if the Packers can afford to have another splash in free agency. That's something I consider too. I will be curious to see if they go out there and they sign themselves, not sign themselves, but go out there and draft pay attention. I'm trying to watch my spam comment section and talk at the same time. Be interesting if they use free agency again, at least for one player. I feel like they could possibly make moves for at least one player on that roster, but I think Kenny Clark needs himself an extension. I think you do have to sign Blake Martinez again. There's so many haters on Blake Martinez, but I don't think you need to pay him a whole lot of money. And then I think you go out there and you probably spend a little bit of money on a cornerback, and I don't know who that cornerback's going to be. Cornerbacks are not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but it'd be nice to have someone opposite of Jair in the very near future. That is for sure. Minnesota has been creeping on us all year, so I'm glad Seattle's winning. Absolutely, Minnesota's that team that just won't die. They've had. I mean, kudos to them. They had a rocky start. The Kirk Cousins was living underneath the bus, just getting run over on a day-to-day basis. And I think I saw in his last 5 games heading into tonight, he had 0 interceptions. Heading into tonight, he only had 3 interceptions on the season, so he's definitely turning around. You give respect where respect is due, and Minnesota's been hanging in there and fighting hard, but no, they need to lose tonight, and they should lose tonight. Nice 1-year deal with Bulaga is ideal. That would be ideal if we can get Bulaga to sign 1 more year. I just don't know if his body can do it. I'm sure he'll tell you that it can, but it better be a generous contract for sure. We have a new commenter, Alexander, commenting in. He's giving me a top 10 list from the looks of it for the teams, and we're going to go off of your opinion here. So I agree with you. Baltimore is number 1, easily the best team in football right now. San Francisco, I think, is right there behind them. I'm with you, 1 and 2. 3 is Seattle. Yeah, I think you're right. 4 New Orleans, and then 5 New England. That might be one that I swap back and forth a little bit. But I'm not going to disagree. So Green Bay comes in at number 6 on his particular top 10 list. I do think that, if we look at the teams behind them, Kansas City, Buffalo, Houston, and Minnesota, a Kansas City team with a healthy Patrick Mahomes firing on all cylinders is better than the Green Bay team that I've seen the last couple of weeks. So maybe they'd be the only team that I might put ahead of Green Bay that isn't already ahead of Green Bay. But I would agree with your list. I think it's fairly accurate. I don't think there's a whole lot of hot takes in that list that you're throwing out there. Green Bay's a great team, but they're not. You look at Baltimore, San Francisco, even when you jump down to Seattle, or even when you jump down to New Orleans, I just don't think that they're on the same playing field right now as those 2 teams. San Francisco, I think, travels to New Orleans this weekend. I just remembered that, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So that's going to tell us what we have out of the New Orleans Saints, or it's going to show the San Francisco 49ers are going to find themselves falling fast in the playoff position battle in the very near future. Johnny, do what we did with Lane Taylor and Jenkins. Signing an inside linebacker could be possible. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that Nick Perry never found himself on a team. I don't know why I just thought about that. We're talking about inside linebacker. He wasn't even an inside linebacker. He was an outside linebacker. Shocking. We paid that guy a whole lot of money a couple of seasons ago. He was kind of the answer to the opposite of Clay Matthews. And that could have been one of those Ted Thompson losing my mind sort of moves that we made late in Thompson's career. But Nick Perry he didn't find himself on a team. I thought maybe they might actually have signed him or picked him up if we had faced any significant injuries. But I don't know why I just thought about that. Fun fact, things that I think about, I guess. No one believed me when I said Chris Godwin from the Bucs would have 1,000 yards. I'd love if we traded for him. I didn't believe you either. I thought you were full of poppycock. But you proved me wrong. I don't remember you actually saying anything about that. Maybe you're talking about your inner circle of friends didn't believe you. But kudos for predicting the future. Since you're so good at predicting the future, Graham, go ahead and hit me up with a final season record, and then how deep you think we'll make it in the playoffs, because I'm the one on here always talking. I always like to kind of get a sense for your guys' feel for how the Packers are looking as well. It's a community. Don't forget that. It's a community. We would be buying him very high, and then Nick was coming off of a great year. That's why we did it. Yes, he had an outstanding year before we signed him to that huge contract. He constantly struggled with injuries. I guess what my point was, I wasn't so much surprised that they signed him and they paid him the money that he did. I was surprised that his production fell off the ledge as fast as it did. And then I was also just surprised that nobody was willing to take a chance on him this offseason, or I don't even think anybody really trained or brought him into the facility. I'm getting notifications that I'm live, so hopefully that's not the Russians right now. Man, Russians! Well, to be fair, I got 3 new subscribers from Russia. Huge Packer fans from the sounds of it. Huge Packer fans. So, we got a lot about, man, this game is kind of just crawling at the moment. 11 minutes to go in the fourth. 34-24 Seattle. I think another. I'm not actively watching the game, so I have no idea how momentum side of things is going. I mean, obviously Seattle has just jumped and pounced on the Vikings and jumped out to a lead, but it'd be kind of nice to see just one more scoring drive to kind of put a dagger in the hopes and dreams of Vikings country tonight and kind of lay that one to rest. And the Seahawks would move to 10-2. You'd have, what do you have? I got this here somewhere. Let's pull it up real quick. So in our conference, we will have three. No, that's wrong conference. Yeah, we'll have 3 teams that are 10-2 with a victory for Seattle, and we will have 5 teams in the entire NFL at 10-2. Outside of that, the next wave are your Buffalo Bills at 9-3, your Green Bay Packers at 9-3, and then outside of that, everyone else has 4 losses. So, what's going on with Buffalo? If we look back at this, this Alexander, Buffalo at number 8, ahead of Houston and Minnesota. Maybe. I don't know. Those are 50-50. I don't know. Minnesota plays Buffalo. I feel like Minnesota probably comes away with that victory. With an Adam Thielen. With a healthy roster, I think he comes away with it. There's a huge spoiler alert going on in my comment section because I just now got that fake punt that you guys were referring to. There you go. That segue. Let's have ourselves a segue right now. Let's talk about Matt LaFleur deciding to go for it on 4th and 10 yesterday. What were they at? Like the midfield, a little over midfield. Definitely outside Mason Crosby's kicking range. It was snowing at the time. But these are the things. These are the things that winning teams do. These are the ones that consistently find themselves in position late in the year to make a Super Bowl run. It's the ones that are not afraid to take risks when you least expect, when the other team least expects it. And I love the play call from Matt LaFleur. I thought it was, I think it was a couple things. I don't know if now here's the thing. I don't know if Green Bay does that. They go for it on 4th and 10. If they're playing a team like the 49ers, if they're playing the Seahawks, if they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't think they do it if they're playing a top 10 team in the NFL. Maybe they felt confident against the New York Giants that, hey, let's try it out. If we don't get it, it'll be fun. We'll get the ball back. I'm not too worried about the New York Giants. But I do like that they, I think obviously Rodgers liked it. He commented he loved the aggressive nature of that play call. And I love to see these teams, I love to see teams do it. It's good for the sport. It's good for just entertainment factor. And it's going to prove right now that Seattle, I mean, they go down and score a touchdown on this drive. It's game over. It's game over. 100% game over. So yeah, kudos to Matt LaFleur. I love that they're taking those risks. I think I beat that one with a dead horse already. So Johnny agreed with me. He also loved the play call from LaFleur. Pac-Man saying I like the Goody. Oh, I thought I said Goody. I thought we were gonna have a Goodikins call that I missed out on, but a gutsy call on the 4th. Geronimo caught it, which was the most impressive part. It was a great catch and it was a great throw. I mean, I thought it's one of those throws where I kind of clenched up a little bit because the guy came down on Rodgers' ankle, and I'm like, no, don't want to see that. I don't want to see Rodgers rolling his ankle or getting injuries. So it was a good throw. It was a great catch. It was a big-time catch, especially out of a player like Allison that has been struggling to make those, I guess, big-time plays throughout the season. He has had a few here and there, but it's good to kind of get him some momentum. And kudos to that. So great catch. Divisional playoffs at Seattle ends in a loss. That's Alexander's prediction for the season. I like our odds of going to Seattle better than going to San Francisco. I just think that California is going to be the bane of our existence for the 2019 season. I would like to take a stab at what could happen in Seattle. Don't get me wrong. I've been to Seattle. I was at the Packers-Seahawks game. It was a 2014 season opener. That place is on a whole other level of being loud. You can't even hear yourself think. You can't even hear yourself talk. You can't. It's not going to happen. But I do think that I think that I like the Packers' chances there. I think there's a lot of history with Green Bay going to Seattle when you're talking about the Matt Hasselbeck we'll take the ball and we're going to win types of moments. When you're talking about just the breakdown in the NFC Championship game. I love that matchup. And then Seattle fumbles the ball. You guys watching this? I'm sure you guys already saw this, but yeah, Seattle just fumbled the ball. Maybe you guys know that. Hopefully they challenged it and he was down, but it was Metcalf. Of course it was Metcalf. Why wouldn't it be? Seedings will be 1 Saints, 2 Hawks, 3 Packers, 4 Cowboys, 5 Niners, 6 Vikes. That has the Vikings heading to Lambeau Field in the week 1 or the wild card playoffs, and it has the Niners traveling to Dallas. It doesn't even matter who that 4th seed is, whether it's Dallas or the Eagles. They're done. It's whoever. Honestly, it wouldn't even be the worst thing for the Packers to get the 5th seed. I'm just gonna say it. Let's just call a spade a spade. Yeah, home games fine and dandy. I would rather have a 5th seed matchup at Dallas, where it's Aaron Rodgers' playground in Jerry World, versus having either the Niners or the Seahawks or the Vikings come to Green Bay. I'll take it. I'd take it. I'd take it all day. Tua Vang saying how the baby is good. The baby's upstairs with mom. I am rocking solo tonight. One of the beautiful side effects of being sick is that you don't have to take care of a baby. And I'm not going to complain about that. It gives me a little bit more free time to do some stuff. Play some Xbox. To write some music. To do a Packer podcast. That's what it allows me to do things like this. So baby's good. Baby might have a little bit of a cold too. Now that I think about it, mom's always worried about things like that. But that's how it will be. Let's see here. I think we can win in New Orleans even. Yeah, New Orleans doesn't seem like that scary of a place all of a sudden. I just like Aaron Rodgers in a dome. So you look at I like Aaron Rodgers at a dome that doesn't involve US Bank Stadium. Let me update that quote a little bit for you. So yeah, go ahead and head to Dallas, head to New Orleans, which very well might be the case. I mean, if we look at your playoff predictions, I guess you have a 1 seed, which would end up playing the Niners, so the Niners would head to the Saints. I don't know. I don't think the Saints end up at the 1 seed. Quite personally, I think they're due themselves a loss, and it could come as soon as the 49ers on Sunday. And at that point, they kind of lose their competitive edge against the San Francisco 49ers and the seeding. So yeah, you like my comment on the Packers being the 5th seed. It wouldn't be the worst thing. Everybody's so wrapped up in the Packers getting a 1st round bye. It doesn't matter. I'm perfectly. I mean, I'm okay with them not getting a 1st round bye. First off, that's a week of football without the Packers. That's a week of football, playoff football, that I don't get to watch the green and gold. Yeah, would I like them to host themselves a playoff game? Sure, but I don't think it's going to be make it or break it for them to have that one of the first 2 seeds in the division or the conference, for them to have a deep playoff run. I guess I know it's been 7 years, but that New York Giants game off of the 15-1 season it still stings. It still stings a lot, and I think you can come out flat. I think if anything kind of reared its ugly head in that San Francisco 49ers game a couple weeks ago, is that they come out a little bit flat and things can get away from you and you just can't get going. If they are 2 scenarios, right? They finish out the season 3-4, or best case scenario, they finish out, they run the table, they go into the playoffs. Well, shit, if they go into the playoffs at 13-3, they're going to end themselves up with a 1st round bye. So I guess that defeats the purpose. But if they can have at least if they have some momentum heading into the playoffs, it's really all that matters when we get to that point. 9 minutes and 34 seconds on my screen, and this game, I can't believe how slow it ticks away when you're in the chat. So if you guys are just tuning in, it was an interesting night so far. We've been talking for about an hour. The Russians showed up for a little bit, but then they decided to subscribe and hit the road. Brought my subscribers total up to 862, which puts me 138 subscribers away from giving away this canvas. And I'm it's going to be one of you guys. One of you guys that's tuned in right now. I know Big B, you've been salivating at that thing for a while now. I'm not going to give it to you. You're going to have to earn it. We'll do a drawing, but I think I'm going to probably narrow it down to, some of my more committed viewers, some of my bigger supporters on the channel, because it's only right. And then we'll be doing a lot more giveaways as the channel continues to wind down. So I have 8% battery life left on my Mac. I forgot to get my charger. I wonder if I should... Here, let me text my wife. Let's text my wife. Can you bring down my charger? Typically I would end the video, but I'm actually kind of enjoying just hanging out with you guys and watching the rest of this Vikings and Seahawks game. Otherwise I'd just be sitting upstairs with my wife on her phone, ignoring the great action that is Monday Night Football, which for the most part, the reason why when I moved this to Monday night, I was a little bit concerned that there was still football on and I wouldn't be getting the type of viewership, but there haven't been a lot of good games on like there are right now. I hear footsteps coming down the stairs. I hear a door opening. I see my wife. She's holding a charger. My computer's at 7%. Yes. Yes. Can you plug it in now without destroying my set?
I'll try.
All right. Stand by, guys. We got power. No. Okay. You're brick. Don't swear.
Okay.
This is a family show.
Okay. Good?
We're good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Fantastic job. My wife, ladies and gentlemen, keeping the show alive, keeping it going. So I can turn my brightness up again, so I don't have to worry about losing you guys. Graham 25 diving. Okay, let's back up a little bit here. So I haven't bet NFL games, but I want to. Which site is the best to bet just individual games? I'll let you guys chat that one out. I don't bet on anything. I'm like the anti-gambler of all gambling. I go to a casino. I'll put at most I'll put $5 in, and if it comes back a $10 winner, I'm cashing out for the night. And I just got myself a free drink, and I'm happy with it. I'm not even gonna try to gamble that $10 away. I'll take it. I'd take anything that I can get. So don't ask me about gambling that. But to answer your other questions, what systems do you play and what games? Well, when I started this podcast, and you can go back to my very first video as an intro to Pour Another. And I talked about how I wanted to do a couple different types of shows. Well, the big thing is I'm honing in on the Packer one and kind of, just finding out how this whole thing works and building an audience and having a good time with it. People like you have tuned in has been absolutely awesome. But I have two other passions outside of the Green Bay Packers, and these are things that I could talk about that you might actually care. I have passions about my family and being a father, and obviously I had a baby in my hand last week. But music, I'm a huge music guy. I went to school for music. I've been playing music my whole life. Songwriter, composer. That's something that I like to do. So. Pour Another soundtrack is something that I'm actually planning on working on once the season ends. I want to do about 12 weeks where I'm going to maybe put a little bit of the Packers podcast on the back burner and put some music out there and see where that goes. And then the second one, segueing, and this is a long introduction, but is video games. I'm a huge gamer, always have been a gamer. So we're talking, to answer your question, I'm a 31-year-old grown-ass man who has been a gamer his whole life, and I have all the consoles. So I got a PlayStation, I got an Xbox One, I got the X, of course, because I care about 4K. I got the Switch. We're there, and I'm waiting for Project Scarlet and PS5. I got it all kind of on lockdown as far as the gaming side. So as far as what games I'm playing, I play a little bit of everything. I don't play a ton of online multiplayer just because since I became a dad, it seems like my hand-eye coordination has completely gone out the window. So I love, I love RPGs. I love story-based games. So Outer Worlds was absolutely great. I enjoyed that game. Death Stranding was awesome on the PlayStation. I picked up Star Wars Fallen Order or Fallen Jedi. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Just picked up Modern Warfare. I've probably played it. I play pretty much any of the big time titles. I got quite the collection and gaming that I don't ever have a chance to get to. But yeah, I am on there, and it looks like I have a missed field goal to look forward to because I am just now seeing the touchdown catch. I'm gonna refresh this feed, because you guys are way ahead of me. We got some lag. There it is. There's my missed field goal. I'm back. We're back here. 30-34. Now they need a touchdown. Man, that's a much closer game than I would have loved to see, though. Laces out, Finkel. Laces out, pushes it to the left. He had a really good field goal in the first half too. I think it was at the end of halftime. He had a really good field goal. I'm surprised that he's missing extra points. That's disappointing. I'm just heartbroken that they're missing extra points. Packers have a distinction of being the worst 15-1 team ever and best 10-6 team ever the year before. That is true. I don't know if they don't let the quick exit in the playoffs by the Giants fool you on that 15. I mean, that 15-1 team was a lot of fun to watch. That offense was explosive. They were putting up touchdowns just on the regular. That was a good team. I'd have to go through some of the 15-1 teams out there and see if they could possibly be the worst, because there's not a ton of 15-1 teams. So, interesting point. I'll have to ponder that one a little bit longer. It'd be really easy just to bring the board to work. Just saying, I have no idea what you're talking about, Kyle. It'd be, I'm fairly certain that you're probably commenting about something above, but I don't know what you're talking about. Vikings starting to show up, but Kirk, it's choking. Best 10-6 team I meant. This is one of my favorite channels, to be honest. I love your passion for Packers. Let's both cheers to this channel and to the health of your nice family. That is some very kind words, Graham25. You, awesome. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I'm a little bit speechless. You guys tune in and support this channel and just kind of hang out with me. And yeah, I am a passionate Packer fan. I like I said when I kind of started this, is that a lot of my family and friends always came to me and asked for my opinions, and I'm like, you know what? Why don't we just kind of throw this thing on YouTube and see what happens to it? And I'm excited. I'm really excited for season 2 of this show and for next season. There's a lot of things that I'm already thinking about that I want to adjust and tweak a little bit and improve on the channel. I just don't want to do them mid-season. I'm gonna learn a couple new video editing tricks and see if I can get away with some copyright stuff and whatnot. But yeah, thanks for the comment again, Graham25. Thanks for tuning in. Got a shout out to my wife for bringing down the charger. We're up to 8% now, so it's slowly getting back on there. Lee86, I haven't caught much of your live stuff, but hey man, keep up the awesome work. Thanks, Lee, if you are still in here and hanging out. I don't know if that kind of sounded like a, hey, I'm taking off for the night, so have yourself a good one. Keep up the good work, sort of a comment. But if you're still in here, thank you for the support and thank you for the comment. We go back to our missed field goals, and then Johnny's talking about loving Star Wars game. It is a lot of fun. I got about 20 hours into Death Stranding though, and then I went to Star Wars and I tried to go back to Death Stranding. It just wasn't happening. It wasn't. Don't you hate that? Don't you hate getting invested in a game and then it just all kind of escapes you how to even play it or what you were doing? I load up the game and I got like 50 tasks and objectives to do, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, so you just start running in circles, and soon enough you just shut off the game. Holy cow! I found myself in a moment there, right there. You can relate. I know you can relate. Don't act like you can't. Oh, I don't know if this is proper, but if you like space simulation, astronomy, storytelling, and space choreography, check out my channel, Alexander Raffin's Space Engine Chill and Sounds. I like your Relaxed Packers channel, by the way. So he threw in a compliment while plugging your own channel. Go for it, man. Go for it. We all have to plug ourselves in here and there. I love science. Sure. I mean, some of my favorite movies are like Interstellar, and Inception. I guess that's not really. I mean, it's science. It's science fiction. It doesn't have anything. Inception doesn't have anything to do about space, but it does with psychology and stuff like that. Storytelling, that's in there too. Kyle, pour another picture that you're giving away. I made the comment when you were discussing it. You want me to put this on the board. You want me to. Okay, I'm following you. I'm following you now, Kyle. I finally got back to you. Got back to your comment. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Probably won't happen. The last thing I want to see is Bill's face when he sees me hanging propaganda at work. That won't go well. I never asked, how long have you been doing YouTube? I've been a subscriber since before the season. Glad I found this channel. And by the way, Fallen Order is a very good game. I have been a YouTuber, or been doing YouTube, since April 13th of 2019. You'll see the established in 2019 banner right across the bottom here. So what does that put us at? We're officially 8 months into the channel, is as long as I've been doing YouTube. So thought I'd be at 1,000 subscribers by now, but I've learned to humble myself and realize that even though there's 7 trillion people in this world, I think it's 7 billion people in this world. I think we're probably like 8 billion by this point. I'm going back to elementary school. I'm getting off topic here, but I'm going to have a moment here. I went back to elementary school, and I remember picking up a Time magazine article in the library that said 6 billion people, ? So now my reference is, you subtract 20 years or so, you were at 6 billion, you figure, inflation, and then you have to take the death rate and divide that by 7, because there's 7 days in a week, of course. So that would probably put us somewhere close to about 7.5 billion people in the world. So I figured with 7.5 billion people, at least 1% of them are Packer fans, and I figured I'd be way over 1,000 subscribers by this point. But you got to chip away at it, slow but steady. Enjoy the crowd you got. Enjoy the time with your friends. We're learning a lot about life right now. I hope you guys are taking away some valuable points from my ramblings. We're in position that even if we lose more games next season, it won't be a setback. Personally, I think next year is 11-5. Team will be stronger than our 13-3 year this season. I think that our team will be better next year for sure. Big B, I was here very early, rooting you on since day one. Yes, you were, and that doesn't go unnoticed. 7.53 billion people. You Googled it, and I was this close to nailing it. So I forgot about just that 0.03, which is, probably, what is that, like 30 million people that I forgot about. Fact check that one. Kyle, still talking about the picture on the board, as in just bring it to work so I can have it and save yourself some shipping costs. Kyle, I think I know what to get you for Christmas. Secret Santa. It's not going to be this one though. I'm not gonna tell everybody that tunes in that, hey, subscribe and win this, and then I'm just gonna bring it to you at work. But you might get yourself a stocking stuffer that you can hang on your fridge, like a magnet or something like that. Minnesota will not die. Why is Minnesota hanging in there? Kirk Cousins has to choke, right? I mean, I'm at 314. So if you guys are like under, 230, which I'm sure you are at this point, it's got to be right around the corner. It's only a matter of time. This is a good game. This is a really good game right now. There you go. That was 3 minutes even. That was one of the worst passes from Kirk. That was just a Kirk Cousins pass, in my opinion. Once you hit 1,000 people once you hit 1,000, the people watching are able to donate. So look out for that. Thanks for bringing that up. Thank you for the eyeballs and all that good stuff. I'm gonna keep this thing free for a while. You're right. So once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I can turn on ads and get like pennies on the dollar and whatnot. Maybe I'll do donations for live streams. I don't know. I don't really feel right taking your guys' money. I mean, I appreciate it, the support and whatnot. Maybe if I, get to a point in this channel where, I would love to make this a full-time job. I mean, if I could sit around and just drink and talk about the Packers, I mean, that would be phenomenal. But so maybe at that point, I'll consider donations and Patreons and stuff like that. But I plan on keeping this thing free. One thing that annoys me more than anything else is when you actually log in to watch a video and then that ad pops up. And now they're doing 2 ads. It's ad 1 of 2, and if you don't skip the first one, and even sometimes when you skip the first one, it still kicks on the second one. That stuff drives me nuts. I can't stand that stuff whatsoever. So I want to keep this channel ad free as long as possible, or at least until it hits the subscriber count where it actually makes sense for me to turn on that stuff for ad revenue, and I can get a little. I can put more swag out there, actually, when you think about it. I mean, essentially, I'll just pump it right back into it. They're showing that decibel meter right now out there in Seattle, 97.0, 97.0, or 97.1. I mean, that place is loud. That place is loud. Lola. Tip ball. I'm going to have to refresh this. I feel like you guys are so far ahead of me in this game. I'm falling behind. Refresh. All right, 231. I wasn't behind at all. Doesn't look like it. 4th and 3. If Johnny's any indication of how this is going to go, he's complimenting Kirk Cousins as the Vikings quarterback, so it has to mean that this should be some sort of incomplete pass or just mess up by Kirk Cousins. I'm looking forward to it if that's the case. It is a great Monday Night Football game. We're only like 1 play ahead of you. Oh, perfect. I should read your guys' comments more frequently. What do we got here? There it is! Called it! Johnny giving me the heads up on Kirk Cousins. And sure enough, Captain Kirk coming to bat with that beauty of a throw. So, let's see. Minnesota has 3 timeouts, 2:27. So essentially all Seattle needs to do, they for sure need a first down, but 2 first downs win it. And depending on how that kind of shakes out the timeout situation, Seattle should be able to run down this clock fairly good. They'll probably, I guess Minnesota would get the ball back with about 2 minutes to go if they go a 3-and-out right here. So it could be a 2-minute drive by Kirk Cousins. Things will get really spicy and interesting here at the end of this game. Big B saying he will donate everything I have. Don't do that, man. Go to the training camps. Keep going to Packer games. Buy yourself a nice Packers coffee mug and start your own YouTube channel and talk about it. All right, this is a good first down drive. It is now 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3. Maybe this is something. Would you guys enjoy? I got 11 of you in here. 2nd and 4. Would you guys enjoy if I like to have parties, right? Packer parties are my favorite thing to do. Quite frankly, Packer parties are more enjoyable than Christmas morning. That's the level of excitement for me in Packer parties. But I'm thinking on Sunday, we're playing the Redskins. Watching the game on Sunday against the Giants, it wasn't really a party atmosphere. It might be fun this Sunday. One time this season, we're going up against the Redskins. Maybe we should do would you guys enjoy a live reaction or, just me watching the game and hanging out with you? And that's a lot of talking. That's like 3 hours of talking. And my throat already hurts me just thinking about it. But yeah, would that be fun? Do you guys tune into YouTube when the Packer game's on? I don't even know. Last thing I want to do is not go to a Packer party or throw a Packer party. If there's like one Russian in here while I'm talking during the Packer game, and he's talking about my wife last night and how great she was, and then like snails keep popping up on my screen, I don't want to do that. I don't want to miss a Packer party for that type of scenario. But I think it could be fun to go live and just kind of hang out. I might have to do it up in my living room because I'm definitely going to want to watch the game on my TV versus this iPad. But maybe something we'll consider. Maybe I'll let that one marinate a little bit in the back of my mind. I would do it out at the Packer party, but there's no internet whatsoever. There's no way I could get away with a live feed and a live chat during that. So we got 3rd and 1. You guys probably already know what's going to happen. Seattle's obviously going for it, but let's see if they can pick up this 3rd down. They do. That is beautiful. That almost seals it. Why doesn't Minnesota call a timeout? What is going on? See, this is why it could be fun for me to go a lot. I mean, you guys saw that too, right? There's 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. It's first down for Seattle, and the Vikings have one timeout. Why don't they use their freaking time? Fine with me that they didn't do it, but they essentially just let 10 seconds run off the clock because they didn't use their final timeout. Ladies and gentlemen, Brianna Lee, that is my wife. She decided to tune in and comment in the section. She is the charger to my computer and the charger to my life. So thank you for tuning in. But I don't know. I mean, stupid move by the Minnesota Vikings not to call a timeout. I get it. I mean, at this point now, you call a timeout with 1:55. Best case scenario, you get the ball back with about 30 seconds. Versus if they would have called their timeout, they would have got the football back with about 1:10. Just with the way that the timeout situation works. So that was foolish. Just absolutely foolish. Foolish. Commercials. Gotta love commercials. I just feel like this would be like a lot of what my live Packer videos watching the games would be like. It'd just be like, it'd be this downtime. What do I do when I have to go to the bathroom? Do I just get up and walk away? I don't want to do that. I have to wear a man diaper. This is getting weird. I don't even know why I said that. They know they are going to lose anyway, so that's obviously Minnesota's strategy. They gave up. According to Big B, the Vikings officially have thrown in the towel, and that is why they did not call timeout before the 2-minute warning. What else can we talk about? Let's pull up this real quick. We'll find something here. Bum 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 bum. Let's see, we talked about the Packers adding a running back. We talked about the Packers. We talked about the Packers tonight a little bit, from here to there. They might have came up in some side discussions. Do we want to talk about the defense a little bit more? Do we want to talk about Mike Pettin and whether or not it's his fault that the Packers defense is struggling? I don't know. But I look up here at Jake Reed. I can't tell if you're a scammer or not. You're throwing great compliments and observations. You're throwing facts out there. But I don't know if you are a Russian spy. It's been one hell of a crazy night as far as the Russians hacking into this video. I mean, if we just let me take I gotta show you guys this. We'll take a screenshot. We'll edit this. And cancel. I don't want you guys to see all my emails. Gotta edit it. That goes up there. Good enough. Let me zoom this in on the camera. Look at these. Hopefully that thing focuses. We're going to find out. My camera's way behind. Oh, hold on. You got to lower it. Get it closer. Go that way. You can't quite read it. Look at those subscriber names. That's what I've been dealing with. So my 3 new subscribers, some dude, and then essentially a 2-year-old that fell on the keyboard and just typed up a bunch of letters in unison. That's been my Russian craziness. Jake apparently is not a Russian, so thank you, Jake. Appreciate that. Full of compliments. Charlie chiming in. Thank you for tuning in, Charlie. I am doing all right. This is hands down my longest live stream. We found ourselves watching Monday Night Football, and it's a big game. We're having a lot of fun with it. I think we're having fun with it. I'm having fun with it. Just kind of hoping that, I mean, Seattle now it's 1:25, 1:24, 3rd and 7. Seeing if Seattle can pick up the first down and come away with a victory here. But if not, as I stated before, Minnesota just essentially don't get a delay a game. We good? They got the hometown refs. Stay in bounds. Here we go. So Seattle will kick a field goal with about 20 seconds left. Minnesota will need one hell of a Minnesota miracle to tie this one up and send it into overtime. But here we are. I mean, if they would have called the timeout with 2:10 left in the game, they would have had more than 20 seconds to march down the field. They would have had themselves about a minute of football to get the ball down the field. So nice job out there in Minnesota. You're doing great. Maybe the key to having a long show is to talk about different subjects. Priority is Packers and NFL, and in sports in general. Philosophy covers everything too. Alexander coming in with his plugs for his channel. You're absolutely killing it tonight. You should, if you go live, I'll tune in. I want to know. I'm curious. I'm curious about your science and philosophy and astronomy. I love your name it's fast. I mean, it's long. It's long, but it there's a lot going into it. Alexander Raffinese, is it Raffinese? Alexander Raffinese, Space Engine Chill and Sounds. That is stellar. I love it. So, back to the game here. Got 21 seconds left. Seattle did end up making the field goal, 37-30. Is it the dagger? Yeah. I think it's not one of those Larry McCarron type of daggers that you hear on Packers radio network, but it could spell the end. There's a fumble. Big B spoiling the game for me. I couldn't even watch it live. Damn it. Maybe just tune into Tom Grossi's live streams. He seems to do a pretty good job. Nice return. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want some, head on over there. If you want to tune into some of his, I think he's live right now, actually. Minnesota fumbles on the kick return. Seattle wins. Vikings drop to 9. I gotta stop doing that. Vikings drop to 8-4. Seattle moves to 10-2. As we mentioned before, Seattle will be one of 5 teams with a 10-2 record. They will be one of 3 teams in the NFC with a 10-2 record, and Minnesota will fall down to that 8-4. They'll be the only team in the NFC with 4 losses. So there's, the gap starts to jump pretty quick there. A lot of teams with 7 losses, a lot of teams with 8, 9, 10. So yeah, I mean, if we look at our playoff standings after this one, let's do this here. So Seattle takes the win. That puts them in the number 2 seed. New Orleans is the number 1 seed, and if the season were to end today, as we discussed, the Vikings would head to Green Bay and the 49ers would head to Dallas Cowboys. I don't think this is the way it ends. I think this is just a snapshot in time, guys. There is a lot of football left to be played. I don't see the New Orleans Saints getting the 1 seed. I can't picture that. I can't picture that happening. A lot of football left to be played. Big B, don't be too hard on yourself. I was only joking. It's easy to get excited when Seattle goes on and defeats the Minnesota Vikings. But here we go. I think at this point, we're going to wrap up the video. I have talked for an hour and a half when I only thought that I would talk for a half an hour. My nose is runny. My throat is sore. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will be posting a video on Friday. We will preview that wonderful, heated matchup against the Washington Redskins on Sunday, where the Packers should find themselves moving to 10-3. Again, Minnesota drops to the Seattle Seahawks, which was written all over the world. I am live every Monday night at 9 p.m. Central Time, so go ahead. We will see you next week live. Otherwise, wrapping up some of the rest of these comments, to be honest, I prefer your live streams. I just meant if you needed ideas for game day live streams. Thank you, Johnny. My wife needs to not... She must be Russian. My wife is Russian, too. She's chiming in with... Just like the rest of those Russians. I'm going to have to block that. I'm going to shut it down. Shut it down. But we're going to wrap up the video. Again, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. As always, or until next time, I will see you on the internet. Thanks for watching. Go Pack Go.